All right. Welcome to the Long Run with Joel and Christy. I'm Joel.
And I'm Christy.
And welcome to our live stream. This is the first one we've done since probably October, huh?
No, we did one in November.
Did we?
Yeah, for our 4th anniversary.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't skipped.
Okay. It was a podcast we skipped in November.
Yes.
Oh,
that's right.
That's why it was. Okay. Well, there you go.
Okay. All right. So, yes, we usually do our live stream on the last week of the month, and considering Christmas would fall in that category, we didn't really, isn't that right? Yeah. Christmas and New Year's Eve, it would be falling in between there somewhere. It was going to be challenging to schedule that. And also we want y'all to be able to spend time with your families, and we plan to spend time with our families. So we decided to go ahead and do this today.
Yep.
Hopefully y'all won't mind seeing our faces this week, because we had our video yesterday stream. Okay. Live stream today. And then also at 1:00, we have a bonus video today of showing how we make Southern fried corn. So if you want to see how we do Southern fried corn, be sure to come back at 1:00 for that video. It won't premiere. It's pretty short. She knew.
Yep.
Yay.
Yay.
Hey, Leisure. Anyway, and then we'll have a video on Thursday, which is just a fun vlog video that we went to Disney Springs, and we showed a Disney Springs video on our other channel, Adventures on the Long Run. It's going to be the same day, some of the same content, but some of it will be different because I showed some of the things that he didn't show.
Yep.
On there, because we did do more than just the Christmas tree stroll. Most of mine is set to music too, so if you want to just see some Christmas stuff, then that'll be a good one for you. Give you all the Christmas vibes.
Yep.
Okay, I get so confused in the month of December anyway, because everything seems off. Like even when it's normal, but like I did 12 days in a row, and then like after that, it was like I was a little off on when I was supposed to put videos up. I have to keep it on I have a notebook, and I write out all the dates I'm supposed to have a video up, and I look at it like a lot in the month of December to make sure I didn't forget something, because I will. All right. Oh yeah, that was at SeaWorld yesterday.
Yeah.
That was the video he did yesterday was at SeaWorld, and the sharks. Yeah, did you show the whales too? You showed the whales.
Yes.
Yeah. Whales and penguins.
Yeah.
There. It has a lot of stuff like that, and then also he rode roller coasters. So
Yeah.
It's a fun video. Yeah. Let's see. Anyway, so yeah, we have the short little recipe video this afternoon, and then Thursday will be the Disney Springs one. And since y'all will see us so much this week, next week we will be skipping on Christmas Day, of course. Then we will have a video on Thursday. Well, there were sharks there too in the
in the shark encounter.
Yeah, that had the big, what do you call it? Like aquarium type thing that you could see all the way up into the ceiling, all the way through. You can see them swimming over you and to the sides
and the whales,
of you.
And the penguins.
Yes.
All the things.
Yes. We saw them all. Anyway, so and then we'll have that Thursday video. So we don't have many videos next week, but this week y'all are getting to see our faces a little more often because of the live stream. All right. So today we wanted to talk about how to set yourself up for the best financial year ever. We're going to be honest with you this year. You know, it looks like we'll still be fighting inflation. So there's still some things that will be challenging about it, but we do think that, you know, there's things you can do to set yourself up for success in the new year financially. And so we want to talk about some of the things that we suggest, and then also in the chat or the comments, if you're watching this in the replay, we would love if you would tell us any tips that you may have that you think we missed. You know, you'll be telling us something that maybe we didn't think about, or you might be telling someone in the community something that they haven't talked about. I think that if we all work together, we'll be able to make 2024 successful if we all share our ideas with each other.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Also, as a note, please stick around through the whole live stream, because we're going to share a couple of goal setting tips that we seldom ever hear anyone share as far as setting up financial goals. So, okay.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
You want to go?
All right. So we're going to start off with what we call stage 1. And this is for people who are new to budgeting and debt-free journeys. And so this is kind of how to get started. Maybe you're how do I really get started? I know where I'm at, kind of know where I'm at financially. I'm in debt. I'm not in debt. I'm deep in debt. I'm lightly in debt. You kind of know where you are. Even if you don't know where you are, these are some beginning steps to help you get started on your debt-free journey. The first thing is to look at your income and expenses. Now, you want to be honest with yourself about your income and expenses, because sometimes we can just overlook things that we just do, and we just say, well, no, it's not really an expense, but it really is. Anything that's coming out of your bank account is an expense. Mm-hmm. So make sure you're accounting for all of that when you do your expenses and your income. However you make your income. Make sure you're accounting for all of that. Be honest with yourself about what your income and your expenses are, so that you can really find out where you are financially. Mm-hmm. And then you want to make financial goals and find an accountability partner, whether it's your spouse or it's a friend or coworker or somebody that you can trust to kind of help keep you accountable to your goals. It's hard to keep a goal if you don't hold yourself accountable or have someone to hold yourself accountable to them. I know my running goal for this year was to run 2,023 miles in 2023, and I kind of got behind in August, so I've been playing catch up since September, and so. There have been times I just want to say, I just want to kind of throw in the towel and say, I'm not really going to make it. But Christy just tells me just to get out there and do it. Like, it's just that easy. Just do it. Just go out there and do it. Just do it. Just do it. But it's always good to have an accountability partner to help you meet those financial goals that you want to set for yourself. Set the goals, have a partner to help you, to give you accountability to meet those goals. The third thing you want to do is talk budget. Now, there are different methods to budgeting. Every dollar, YNAB, which is you need a budget. You can do an Excel spreadsheet, which we did starting out. I set up an Excel spreadsheet with all of our budget goal or budget items, and then every time we paid something out, I would subtract from those and had it all set up to where it would automatically subtract and keep up with the amounts in each budget item. Now I don't have to do that because we use YNAB, which is you need a budget, and it helps to kind of keep track of your expenses and your just letting you know where your money goes and things like that. There's also something called Budget Mom, and then a lot of people use cash envelopes. Now, to me, YNAB is kind of like cash envelopes. You have a budget there, and you put money in there in your budget each month, so you know how much you're going to have there. It's just not with cold hard cash. It's just It's electronic numbers. So
Yeah, I think do what works best for you. As far as cash envelopes, we found a long time ago that if Joel has cash, he doesn't have that emotional attachment that some people talk about when they use cash envelopes, and he will spend it because it's there. It's so easy for him to get a hold of.
yep.
And for him, if he has it more in a budget and he has to look at a budget that shows him a number, he thinks about how much money that means he has left. So for him, cash envelopes aren't that great because of the not having that attachment. But if you are the kind of person who they would literally have to rip the cash out of your hands for you to use it, then you probably would benefit from the cash envelope system.
Yeah, I don't carry cash in my wallet. Actually, I have carried cash. I do have some cash right now in my wallet, but it's a big bill, and I don't really like to break that. So if I've got a
That's
10 or
rare.
if I've got a 10 or a 20 in there, then I'm probably going to spend it on something. So more
Yeah.
than likely. Hey, Sam.
Hey, Sam. All right. When I was looking down a few minutes ago, she sent a message to me on Instagram and asked if we were live right now. And I was like, yeah, it's right now. All right. So let's see, where were we?
We're on an emergency fund.
All right. We highly recommend that when you're making your plan that you don't forget about an emergency fund. If you are familiar with Dave Ramsey, you know that he recommends 1,000. There's other channels that say 2,000. There's others that say that you should have a whole lot more than that. And really, we just feel like you have to figure out what you're comfortable with.
Yep.
For a while, we had like 1,000, and we kept that 1,000 as our emergency fund for a long time, because that was just what we had heard. We never thought about doing anything more. And of course, with inflation, things cost a little more than they did then. So you have to decide if you think 1,000 is appropriate for your family or not. There's a lot of debate over it. What we kind of feel like is, it doesn't have to be all or nothing, does it? Like, if you get your emergency fund to 1,000 and you want to start tackling debt, do you have to do 100% of all your efforts toward tackling debt, or could you maybe put 10 or 25% of what you had extra toward your emergency fund and the rest toward debt, and keep building both of them, like keep decreasing the debt while you're also increasing the emergency fund? That way you're still working on both. But that's kind of where we lean at, is there's this like all or nothing mentality sometimes in the financial frugal community, and we don't really think you have to be both.
Yep.
Like either one. Like, you don't have to do all or nothing. Do a little and then a little toward the other, or a little and a lot toward the other, maybe, 10 and 90% or something like that. Like, you'll often hear people say, well, I also know that I have a car that I'm going to have to replace soon. Do I just risk it and not prepare for the car replacement while I'm paying off debt? Well, put 10 or 25% of what you have extra into a sinking fund for your car. Like, that's just our opinion. It doesn't, you have to, again, decide what the risk factors are in your family. Like, some people have a lot, like maybe a lot more kids, and maybe 1,000 wouldn't get them very far. And then if you're like a single person or a couple, maybe 1,000 will be enough for most emergencies that you might come across, unless it's something major like a gigantic house repair or something like that. 1,000 might be enough to really get you what you need.
Yep. Would the emergency or sinking fund be in an account accumulated? Now that's an interesting question. Thanks, Sam, for bringing that up, because there's still some debate about that too. As far as that goes, you can put your emergency fund and your sinking funds in different accounts that draw interest if you want to do that, or you can have a checking account like we do that draws a little bit of interest every month. just keep it all in one pile. Now, some people are afraid, hey, if it's in my main checking account, it's like me with cash in my pocket. If it's in my main checking account, I think it's there for me to spend. So they open up other checking or other accounts, savings accounts or checking accounts, or any kind of interest-bearing account, and they move that money over there, and that's fine too. Just whatever you're comfortable with, whatever I guess best suits your needs. At the point, we've been thinking about moving our emergency fund over to a different account,
Isn't it? Yeah.
just to keep it out over there.
Well, also because we could draw more interest off of it if it was in a savings account instead of a checking account. So, and that's one thing. If you have, I mean, if it's just 1,000 or something like that, and you have it there for emergencies, you might want to be able to get to it a little easier. So you might want to keep it in your checking account with everything else and just make sure it's separately budgeted so that it's not confusing. And the software program that we have, you can see it separated. So you know where you are on your emergency fund. It's not just a bunch of money sitting there. But when it starts getting to 2 and 3 and 4, 5 months worth of income as an emergency fund, then you probably want to remove that so that it's drawing interest in an account that has a higher interest rate on it. As far as sinking funds go, I have heard people say that they have separate accounts for every sinking fund, and there's bank accounts that allow them to, move it and separate it and stuff. We just keep it separated in our budget on YNAB because we just don't want to have to deal with that. We don't want to have to deal with all those accounts. Like, we would rather just be able to see the lines there and know this is how much we have in that sinking account, that sinking fund, instead of having to deal with all these accounts with a bank and stuff. We would rather just keep it all together.
Yeah, and for us, kind of out of sight is out of mind. I look at the budget items at the beginning and the end of the month when I'm reallocating for each month, and then seeing what we've got left at the end of each month. But we don't look at our bank account balance unless I'm reconciling. So that kind of takes our mind off of, hey, we've got X amount of dollars in the bank. Oh, we can obviously spend that. We can go and do stuff. But if you're not looking at it, then if you're not looking at it, but you're keeping up with your main budget, then you don't have to worry about how much money you have in there, and we're less likely to spend it if we don't really think about how much we have in there. So, and we're in the process now of getting saving up for 3 months emergency fund, 3 months of I say operating expenses, but 3 months of our budget saved up. We're almost to 3 months now. So once we get there, we're going to start really focusing in on some other things that we need to do this year.
Now, I will say, technically, if you added in the YNAB budget method into our emergency fund, you would be able to say we actually do have 3 months because you live on last month's income with YNAB. So technically, we do have 3 months. Also, as a note, you might be wondering why we have been debt free for so long and still working on our emergency fund. And we've just had some things come up that required us to use our emergency fund, and we had to replenish it.
And we like to travel. So
that had
nothing to do with our emergency fund, but it kind of hinders how much we can put in there.
Yes, that's true. But
we like to go to Disney. We like to travel.
Yes. But when my mom died in April 2022, that cleared out a lot of our emergency fund because we had to travel suddenly to get there. And then also she had a burial policy, but it only paid a certain portion of it. And so Joel and I pretty much picked we finished up what it didn't pay for, we paid for that. So, so it kind of dropped our emergency fund down to a couple of thousand. And so we've been slowly adding back to it ever since. And then with travel, it just takes us longer than,
Yeah.
Everything has one account.
Savings, checking, sinking funds, money markets, all different accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, and like I said, you have to figure out what method works best for you. What makes you feel like you have control, but doesn't make you feel stressed out because it's overwhelming or anything like that.
Yep.
So, you know, and if you find a way to do it like Leisure said, under one umbrella, then that makes it easy for her. So that's the same thing with us. We'd want to make it easy on ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, they really are.
They really are, yeah. And like I said, she had a burial policy she had been paying a couple of, like, maybe $20 or $30 on for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And it still wasn't enough.
It still wasn't enough
You
just
know.
because of inflation.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I would suggest, because my sisters and I have two sisters, and we took out a burial policy on our mom.
Yeah, he pays every month
last year, so
yeah.
we all contribute to that each month. Speaking of that, I need to send that money today. So
yeah, he has to send it to his other sister so she can pay the whole thing. But so, yeah, that's it's just one of those things that you do for family. So if something like that happens, you pull from your emergency fund or wherever you can.
And that's why and that's exactly what I said. They can't get you in debt. That's one of the reasons we decided to go ahead and pay it. Was because we didn't want anybody else to have to go into debt for it, and we had the money to do it, and we did it, and save our money back up. So
and so the overlying thing was if we didn't travel as much, we'd probably already be done with it. But instead, we're putting like a couple. We'll get there. We're not. What did we say? All or nothing. You get to decide.
That's right.
So let's see.
So if you're in debt, you want to make a plan to get out, whatever that is. You can do, people talk about different ways to get out of debt. Debt snowball, which is where you pay the least amount you owe on a particular debt, and then you move to the highest. So the smallest amount to the highest, or the debt avalanche, where you start with the highest or the highest interest rate, and you move it down like that. Once you pay that off, you start avalanching it back down. The YNAB method is, for us, it's you want to stay a month ahead on your expenses. So if you think about it, we're always a month ahead on our expenses. So the money that we're making this month, we don't use until next month. So if you think about it, we're already 3 months ahead because we stay 1 month ahead from our expenses. So we kind of broke that paycheck to paycheck cycle back in 2013 when we started using YNAB, and we stayed 1 month ahead for the last 10 years. So we're pretty excited and pretty proud of that. So,
and that was despite a job loss.
Yep.
And also during 2020, what happened then? He lost hours at work and was like reduced to basically part-time because the only thing he could do was work in a drive-through. That was another restaurant saying, hey, I'll take on a couple of your employees, because their restaurant was located in a mall. So they had to shut down completely. So other restaurants were like, hey, we'll take a couple of your employers, and we'll just let them work in the drive-through, because that's the only thing that could be open. So they couldn't give any of them full-time hours, or they wouldn't been able to employ some of them at all. So his hours were reduced, and also his paper hour was reduced. And despite that, and everything else that has gone on, and inflation and everything else, we have never fallen behind on that 1 month in advance.
Hey, Alan.
For some reason, couldn't get it to come out right.
Let's see. The only did I have a mortgage and the car payment. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes.
Yep. Anything to pay extra on anything, help get it paid off, is always a good thing.
That's right. And if I understand right, you're planning on like moving before long, and so the more you can get off that principal, the more you'll profit when you sell it. That would be great.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see.
The next thing to do is look at your grocery habits.
And y'all know this is where we're going to have like a ton of stuff to say.
That's right.
All right. If you are new to the whole budgeting frugal stuff, we want to give you some tips on some shopping habits that may be costing you money. And you don't have to do all of these at once. What we suggest is start slow, pick a few out of this list and see what you can, grow from and learn from, and incorporate those. And then when you feel comfortable with those, add a few more and continue until you've like really reduced your grocery budget.
Yeah, those drive-through lines stayed pretty busy during the pandemic when the dining rooms were closed. So, yep.
Yes, yeah, they were only able to do drive-through. But what was amazing was, we were in Houston at the time. Joel said that a majority of the people that were coming through their line was police officers,
Yeah.
medical professionals, and
Yep.
stuff that they didn't have a way to eat meals and they couldn't go home.
Yep.
So they were having to like eat in their cars and stuff. So
That's right.
they provided a service to the medical professionals and the police officers, all of the emergency people, to help them keep going.
Yep.
So,
That's right.
yeah.
All right, so let's look at our grocery shopping habits. Long lines at the liquor store here. Heard that.
We don't have any knowledge of that, but yeah. They didn't have anything else to do.
That's right.
All right. The first tip that we've got on shopping habits is we're just going to ask it in the form of a question. Do you price compare? Do you do the math? If you are not price comparing, and you may right out of the gate say, but I don't want to go to a bunch of different stores. We mean in two different ways. Do you price compare between stores? Like if you have an Aldi, do you also, while you're in Aldi, do you price compare with Walmart or one of your other local stores? If you're not doing that, then you may be spending more on some certain things. Like, for instance, we will say all these prices are pretty good on their generic items, their store brand. They're not that great on brands. A lot, probably over 50% of their brands. Like if you say like they have Oreos in their store, a lot of those types of brands are actually the same price and sometimes even more expensive than somewhere like Walmart. Or and there's fewer rebates and coupons and stuff available. So sometimes it pays to look at the apps while you're in a store like Aldi. Aldi's not that easy to check their prices online. But if you're actually in Aldi and you pull out your Walmart app, you can easily see if the price is cheaper there at Walmart than it is at Aldi. Or if you could get it in bulk at Sam's Club, you can also do that standing in Aldi or Walmart. You can check Sam's Club. Or if you go to a place like, the local grocery stores in our area is Publix. If you're standing in Publix before you jump on something because it says it has a, buy one, get one free, actually check the prices, the everyday low prices at a place like Walmart or Aldi, just to see if maybe even with that deal is not a better deal. Sometimes it can be that way.
Yeah, and if you that's a great point, Leisha. If you do the math a lot, you price compare a lot, you're going to know pretty much where the lowest prices are going to be. We could walk in Aldi right now and tell you what the lowest prices are going to be there, what they are pretty much the same at Walmart, and what's going to be less expensive for us to get at Walmart or Sam's Club or anything like that, because we do it pretty much at least once a month. We go in and price compare when we do our big grocery hauls.
Yeah, if you are new, you may not be as familiar with those prices, but I will say that even though we go into a place like Aldi and we know, we still look, because if something was on clearance or sale at another store, it might be a rare circumstance where it would be cheaper somewhere else. Though, as a note, we will always say, if saving $2 means having to drive 10 or 15 miles or minutes or whatever to get to a different store, you're probably not saving that much. So you have to decide how much you're going to actually drive to get those great deals.
Yep.
If you're driving all over the place, you're probably going to waste it in gas and not save anything at all. So, but for us, and if you're in this situation, this is where that price comparison really comes in clutch. Is our Aldi, Walmart, and Sam's Club are all within a quarter of a mile of each other. The Aldi's on one side of the street, and then you go about a quarter of a mile down the street, and there's Walmart, and Sam's Club is in the exact same shopping center. So we can easily hit all three of those without spending much gas money. Yeah. So that's where that comes in. Now, as we said, there's two ways to price compare. The other one is if you're in a store like Walmart or like your grocery stores, there's multiple brands, right? And then there's some store brands. And we all have a habit of thinking that if we buy the generic or if we buy it in bulk, we're definitely going to save money. And that's not always true. And that's where price comparing among products matters. And you'll see unit cost labels on the product, and it will say a certain amount per ounce or per each. And unfortunately, you cannot trust those. We've shown it in lots of our videos. We will link some down in the description where we have shown this, that they might have something that's one product that's marked per ounce right beside another one that is the exact same product except like in a different size container, and they have per each on it or per pound, or it may even still say per ounce. But if you do the math, or even if you just kind of look at it, like, you'll realize their math ain't mathing. Yeah. Because like we showed that with some black beans recently, dried black beans, that the smallest package said per ounce, and it was correct. But the 2-pound bag and the 4-pound bag both said per ounce, but what they had really divided it by was per pound. So it really, like, it would have made somebody think that it was $1 and something per ounce for these black beans. And that is so not true. So that is another way that you can do price comparing or doing the math, is just making sure that their math is right in the first place. And you may be thinking, oh, I shop online. They put those same mistakes, those prices that you're seeing on, that I'm saying are on the shelf, they're generally also wrong online. So if you make that snap judgment right there, you're going to end up making the wrong decision, because it was wrong it was wrong there means it was wrong in both places.
Well, that's the question. I don't know that they did it purposefully to trick you. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. I don't know.
But it will trick you.
But it will trick you.
And also, they don't just do that on food. They also do that on things like, we have pointed this out many times on the channel, laundry detergent. Those little tabs, they will have some of the little tabs containers will be marked as per ounce right beside other ones that are marked per each, like as in per each tab. So, like, are they doing it to confuse you? I don't know. Don't know. But definitely be watching for it. Yeah. All right.
The next thing is, do you meal plan? We found it easier to stick to a meal plan if we actually meal plan. Also, we found it easier. It's easier if you don't have a meal plan. It's easier to say, well, number one, you may spend more on your groceries than you expect because you're just buying stuff without really a plan to use it. And then if you don't, get the right things, it's easier to say, you know what, let's just order pizza tonight, or let's just go out and get something. Unless you have a meal plan, you say, okay, these are things we're going to do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You still have the flexibility if you want to do something else, like, go out and eat, or order in some pizza, but you still have the plan there, and you can always push those meals back if you need to.
Yeah.
So meal planning has saved us money in that way, and that we're not buying things that we're either not using, we're not buying the right things, or
duplicating
or throwing things away at the end of the month. So.
And I will say, one of the tips that I would give you if you are new to meal planning is you want to, or at least we do, we front load our meals with things that might require fresh vegetables, like if the recipe calls for broccoli or, potatoes or anything like that. We front load that in the front of the week, and then we tend to use recipes that don't require fresh vegetables that we could use frozen on the back end of the week. And the reason why is because if anything happens and it pushes our meals back, somewhere in the middle of the week, like, because he has a job where sometimes he gets called in at night, things like that, and I'll just not cook that night. So that way, if I have all the fresh veggie ones in the beginning of the week, toward the end of the week, things that don't require fresh vegetables, I'm not ending up wasting produce because I backloaded toward the end of the week something with fresh produce. Hope that makes sense. I always say front load and back load, because the beginning of my meal plan, fresh produce, the ending of my meal plan, frozen vegetables and stuff, so that I'm not wasting any produce.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So the next thing is shop your pantry, your freezer, and your fridge. Once you make your meal plan, then you want to shop your house to make sure you're not duplicating things, as we already talked about. Make sure you're not duplicating things. Make sure you're buying the right things when you go to the store.
Mm-hmm.
So shop your pantry. We have a list that we go by, especially for our freezer, so we know when we need to buy things like bulk chicken and ground beef and things like that. But then we also shop our pantry for spices and things that we already have, and our fridge for things we already have as well. That way we're not we're buying only the things we need for that particular week. We're not overbuying, and that kind of helps keep our numbers down on our grocery budget.
Mm-hmm. The next one is anything that you buy that, if you're honest, you could eliminate it. Now, we're not saying that you have to completely eliminate anything that you really, really enjoy eating, but look at it and say to yourself, is that something that I could sacrifice so that I can stay in budget or reduce my budget? And like, he's an example. Now, one of the reasons why I'm going to say this wasn't totally about budgeting, it was just
worked out that way.
Just worked out that way.
It just happened.
But he eliminated buying a big bag of Cheetos every week.
Yeah, if you've been following us for a while now, you remember back in the early days of our grocery hauls, it became a thing. People would look when we first came in and kind of scanned over the grocery haul. People would look for where the Cheetos were, because I always had a bag of crunchy Cheetos that I would buy every week. And sometimes they last me a week, sometimes they last me two, just depends. But I ate them as a side dish for different meals that we had, or if I was eating lunch, I was eating a sandwich or something like that, I would eat some at that point as well. But we took a trip. When was that? Boston? Was it Boston?
Yeah, I think so.
When we went to Boston, we bought a big box of chips and things to take with us on the trip. So that we weren't stopping at convenience stores and paying convenience store prices for things that we didn't have to pay convenience store prices for. And so once we got back, we had all these chips left. I had a lot of Cheetos left, or Cheetos in there, had a lot left. And so I stopped. I didn't buy any for a while. And once we ran out of the chips, the Cheetos, I just didn't buy them anymore. And so it just kind of flowed that way. And I haven't bought any since. It wasn't really a budget decision or a health decision or anything like that. It was just me kind of working those out after we got back from Boston.
Hello.
Hey,
how are you? Yeah, and it just happened that way with the Cheetos. It was really weird, to be honest. And one thing that he said when I was like, you haven't put Cheetos on the grocery list in like a month. And he said, I realized I don't have to have that as a side dish for every meal.
mm-hmm.
So that's basically what I'm saying is if you're honest with yourself, maybe there's some little things that you sneak into your grocery cart every week that if you were honest with yourself, you just don't need it. Then that would help you stay within budget. Not always easy, and sometimes they purposely put things, keep that in mind too. They purposely put things in the grocery store in a way that they're hoping that you make some snap decision to put something in your cart that wasn't on your list. So if you keep that in mind, that might help you keep your grocery budget down, that you're actually falling for the trick. But if you just take a second, take a breath and say, do I need this? Then it might help you put some things back. Though we will say, we're not ever saying that you have to completely cut 100%, because if it's something that you enjoy and it helps you maybe not stop at a gas station for a snack as often or something like that, then it might be a good idea just to go ahead and buy it. You have to make that decision, but if it's something that you know you don't have to have, then maybe you can eliminate it.
Yep.
And another one is, if you're honest with yourself, are there things that you buy that you know that you're going to end up wasting it? You've seen the meme probably or it's a little reel or something of somebody talking about all the fresh veggies that they bought so that they could and then they show themselves putting it in the garbage can, because that's what they basically did with it. They went ahead, wasted it. And I can fall into that category really easy of wanting to have all the fresh produce and everything in the house so that I'm eating healthy, but then not eat as much of it as I intended to, because I'm not quite honest with myself about how much I think I actually will eat in a time period. It takes a little while to figure that out, but if you start noticing that there's something that you keep throwing away because you never eat it or never finish it, then you need to buy less of it, or don't buy it at all, or learn how to freeze what you're not eating before it goes bad. Things like that. Like, be honest with yourself about what you're really doing with food that you continue to waste.
Yep.
Okay.
Next thing is, do you make anything from scratch? We've learned over the years there are some things that we can make at home, like cream chicken soup. We make our own homemade vanilla extract, which we jokingly say that's our one trip to the liquor store every year. Yep. Sam, that's our one trip to the liquor store every year.
Yeah, that's why
to get vodka to make our homemade vanilla extract.
That's why we don't know how many people are at the liquor store.
That's right. So we have learned some things that we can make on our own, and we do those things to help save us money.
Yeah, it helps save us money. Also, an added benefit to making it yourself is that you don't have as many of the preservatives and stuff that they put into those canned or homemade. Those store versions have more processed ingredients, more salt, more things to make it shelf stable. If you're making it at home, you're avoiding those. Yep. So that's an added bonus, that you're making your food a little healthier and a little cheaper. What was, like, I'm sure you mentioned cream of chicken soup. I'm sure if y'all know, that's like a base in casseroles, especially here in the South. I don't know about other places. It's like you basically start off with a roux, but it ends with more of a thick texture. Anyway, and it's used in a lot of casseroles. It's not a soup like just to sip unless you dilute it. But if you're familiar, there's canned versions of it on the shelves in the store. And so we learned that it takes less than 10 minutes to make that ourselves. And
Yep.
it only takes butter, flour, a little chicken broth, a little milk, salt, pepper, and garlic powder.
Yep.
Had all that in my cabinets for years and kept buying a canned version because I didn't know it was that easy to make it.
Yep. So learn to make some things from scratch.
Yep.
Number next is, do you buy generics? We do. There's some things that we are brand loyal to. I was always brand loyal to Cheetos. I wouldn't buy any of the faking Cheetos because they just didn't taste the same.
He did do a taste test of that.
I did.
Once. And for early on, when we still lived in Houston for this channel, he did a taste test of the Aldi version.
But most everything else we buy, we do consider generics.
Consider it, yes. Yeah. Yes. But we do price compare.
That's right.
We do math. But pretty much a lot of the times the generic is going to be the better deal. Occasionally there's just something, like a lot of times, you've probably heard this said that the generic version was made by the same company. They just had a different label slapped on. And that is probably true for a lot of them, but there are some things that, just being honest, they are not the same texture. They are not the same taste, and you can tell.
Yep.
And you'll see us every week. We buy generic Pop-Tarts, Great Value Pop-Tarts. And I'll be honest with you, I've tasted them. I think they taste better than the Kellogg's version, but they absolutely do not taste the same. They cannot be made by the same company. That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
And so there's just some like that. And there's some that here's an example of one that we would be very brand loyal to. And that is the Pillsbury Crescent rolls.
Mm-hmm.
If you were just going to use it as a crust for the bottom of a recipe or something, it probably wouldn't matter if you used a generic. But if you're trying to roll it up like a crescent roll, the generic ones we've tried in the past just break into pieces.
Yeah.
It does not wrap. It does not roll well. So we're brand loyal. If we know we're going to use it in a recipe or as standalone crescent rolls, we would definitely go with the brand on that.
Yep.
So there's just sometimes that the generic just isn't the same.
Yeah.
But I would give all of them a try one time at least.
That's right.
Give it a try. If it fails, that's just one time that and you can go back to your brand.
Yep.
Yep.
Next is, do you buy anything in bulk? We do. We buy our spices in bulk. Some of them, not all of them. The ones that we use really often, that we know we're going to use often and we're going to run out of pretty quickly, because they do lose their flavor over time.
Mm-hmm.
So after their best by date, they'll start decreasing in flavor pretty rapidly. Mm-hmm. So make sure if you're going to buy seasoning in bulk that you're going to use it before the best by date.
Right.
We buy chicken in bulk, hamburger meat, a lot of different things, but we do buy in bulk, and we still suggest that you do the math, even on things you buy in bulk, because sometimes you can find it cheaper in other places. So just kind of keep that in mind. Yep.
There's sometimes right away that a bulk purchase is the best one. Like when we buy the peanut butter crackers from Sam's Club, that is far and away a better price than what it would cost to buy one of those regular 8-pack packs at Walmart. They're like $3 and something now, and you can still buy this pack at Sam's Club that has the 8 packs in each, but it's twice, or it's 5 times as much. It's 40 in there. So it's 5 times as much, but it is not 5 times the price. It is not $15. It's like $9 now, I think. So still saving like $6. And he uses that every time he goes out to run as a little pre-run fuel. So it saves us a ton by him not buying those individual 5 individual 8-pack containers at a time.
That's right.
So yeah, but there are two things that I will say. If it's a warehouse store like Sam's Club, don't assume that everything is a better price because it is coming from a warehouse store, because as we said, sometimes they're not. And two is if you have the inability to walk in that store without buying a bunch of other stuff because everything looks so like enticing, then like you can order online.
Yep.
Yeah, do the order online instead of going through the store. Oh, and just as another tip, if you do have a Sam's Club, they have an app, and you can go through the store using your app to scan in each thing, and that way you can keep up with how much you're spending inside the store, and you can pay for it before you leave, so that you don't have to stand at a register. You just have to let the what would be the people coming out of the store, just let them check and make sure that you pay for everything. And so you will have saved yourself a ton of time.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last one that we have in this category is if you do you shop at discount stores? If you don't take advantage of stores like, well, I think Aldi falls into the discount grocery store. And then there's some other like even more discounted, like what's their name? United Groceries, or they're kind of like grocery outlets or something, I think is what they're called. I don't think we have one here. At least if we do, they're not in a short drive. They're way off somewhere. Anyway, always be careful about any groceries that like from the grocery outlet, because their dates on their products may be a lot closer than what it would be in a regular store. But if it's something that looks good, looks clean, the box or the can isn't all dented in and things like that, then, and the date is far enough away that you know that you will actually use it before it expires, then it'd be worth it to go in there and just look around and see. Okay.
Yep.
The only thing about grocery outlets is really hard to meal plan around those. So you might want to go there, shop, and then come home and make a meal plan based on what you actually bought, and then buy whatever you needed to fill in the rest. And I'm going to add this as another one. If all these things, and I think I have this in another category, but I'm going to say it again. If all these tips are still not bringing your groceries down to an affordable amount for you, it is okay if you need to go to food banks and stuff. It just may be the time of life you're in right now, and that's okay.
Yep.
Again, we will have videos below that show how we apply some of these habits in meal planning, meal prepping, inventory, and things like that. Be sure to check down there so that you can get that. Yeah.
Y'all have any discount grocery stores up there?
That is one of those things that like I'm always trying to be careful about saying the way to save money on your groceries is to shop at Aldi, because I know that not everybody has one.
Oh, that's not good. Monopoly system would allow them to charge whatever they want to charge, and you have really no say so in the matter because you can't shop anywhere else.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Well,
but if you want to see videos on how we apply these habits at the grocery store, we're going to link some of our previous videos in the description. Yep. You can click those at your leisure.
All right, now some other tips that still fall into if you're new to budgeting is you want to look at your budget and see if there's anything that you can actually delete from it. Maybe you have cable still, or you have multiple streaming services, and if you're honest, there's some that you're just not really using. We do that from time to time. And here's something that maybe not everyone realizes: you don't have to keep one streaming service going all year long.
Yep.
You can turn it off and then turn it back on in a few months.
If all you watch is Stranger Things on Netflix, then turn it off for the 2 years that they are between seasons, and then turn it back on when they come back with it.
Yeah, turn it back on in 2 or 3 years and see how much these kids have grown and still pretending to be kids.
Thanks.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize we were matching. I
don't ever have graphic tees on, but his says
oops. Vintage 1967 with a cassette tape with a pencil through it.
Yeah.
So if you know the meaning of the pencil and the cassette tape, drop me a comment.
All right. So streaming services, yes, be willing to turn those off. You don't need it. Look and see if there's cheaper cell phone plans available. Joel gets a reimbursement for his, so we may not, and we also have our cell phone service bundled with our internet, so we don't pay all that much. But unless you had that option and had a reimbursement, that one information wouldn't be so good. We know that Mint Mobile is a very popular one right now. So, maybe look at Mint Mobile or one of the other ones that tend to be on the, cheaper plan side that uses the same cell towers from what I've heard. Like I said, since we bundle ours with our internet, we're making our cell phone and our internet lower. So, and then he gets a reimbursement for the cell phone part. So we're not going to drop ours for Mint, because then we'd have to pay more for the internet and we wouldn't, anyway. Also, subscription boxes. I have never had subscription boxes, but if you've ever been into those, well, there might be some that are food related. There's also those like FabFitFun and whatever. I don't know, because I don't do them, but and no shade on you if you do, but if you are honest with yourself and you need to cut some from your budget, that's probably not as high a priority as your food and electricity, right? So maybe you don't need the subscription services and you could let go of those. So look at it and see if maybe you're spending money on subscription boxes that you honestly know they're not that beneficial for you. Again, that's just if you need to cut it out. If you need to reduce the budget more, that's an area where it may be, if you add all those little things up, you're spending more than you realized on subscriptions and streaming services. And if y'all have any other things that you can think of that might be eating people's budgets that maybe aren't necessary, put it down in the chat. Let us know. And this one, this one may be controversial. I don't know. But decide if you want to follow any one financial guru 100%, or if you want to mix it up a little bit. For instance, maybe you like some of the things that Dave Ramsey says, but not 100% of them. Well, it's okay.
It's okay to mix it up.
It's okay.
It's okay to take some stuff from here and stuff from here and stuff from here and stuff from here and make your own.
Yeah, make it work for you.
Make it work for you.
You don't have to love anything that one financial guru says 100%. If you do, that's great. But if there's certain things that you say, well, I like all these things, but this one thing, I don't really agree with that. That's okay. Do the parts that you love and leave off the thing that you hate and make it your own. Find another, or keep looking around at other financial gurus until you can find one that you 100% agree with. That's going to be hard. That's going to be hard to find one that you 100% agree with, right? It's like anything else in life. Is there going to be something that you love about it 100% of the time? Probably not. So we got to pick up the pace. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the next one is, should you follow a certain guru 100%? The next one is, if you need more money to relieve the financial pressure, consider looking into side hustles. like DoorDash, Uber Eats, and
Spark Delivery
Spark
and Amazon
Delivery,
Flex and Instacart, and let me look at
There's-
all the apps I have on my phone.
There's probably tons of side hustles. If you can think of some, say them down in
Yeah.
the chat for us that we didn't just say. It's not, I mean, you could try to make it into a full-time income. You could be a reseller. You could do like Spark every day, Monday through Friday or something like that, and see how much you can make. But if you just need a little extra income to relieve the pressure of your financial situation, then doing these side hustles may be an answer. And they don't all require jobs. You can find some that are online. You can also walk dogs, for instance, with I think it's called WAG is the app. So you can also think there's one for babysitting kids. I mean, anything like that. Just look at it and see if you can find some side hustles that you enjoy. And if you're struggling, yeah. If you're struggling, again, like I said, I would bring it back up again. If you're struggling, don't feel bad about asking for financial help or government assistance or asking someone to help you out or going to a nonprofit for assistance. That's what they are there for, to help you when you are struggling.
That's right.
And if you get the help you need now, then maybe in the future, you'll be one that's able to donate to those nonprofits to help so that other people will be helped in the future. So don't feel bad about it and just get the help when you need it. Okay. Snow removal. Yeah. It's been a while since we thought about that.
Grass cutter. We don't even cut our own grass anymore.
We don't,
so
yeah. Because that HOA is
we don't
responsible.
we don't
for
really
that.
think about those. Those are great tips.
Great
there.
tips.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. And so that finishes up if you've never done it before, we're going to try to go through stage 2 a little faster. And you're going to find it is easier because some of these are just kind of reevaluating what was in stage 1. So this is if you're already on a debt-free journey, or even if you're no longer in debt, but you're just trying to improve your financial situation even more. Do you want to see more progress? This is what this one is for. So,
yeah, we still find ourselves fine-tuning our ways and our finances every year. So we never stop learning, and we want you to never stop learning as well. So
yeah.
First thing is to make financial goals for 2024 and decide what you need to do to accomplish those goals. Find out what's important to you and make goals according to what's important to you. And then you'll find out where your priorities lie, and then you can make those goals and start reaching for those things that are really,
That's right.
really important to you.
Yeah, dream about what you want for the future.
That's right.
That's right. That's what we often said. Like we dream, like, well, Joel will say, I really want to run this marathon. And then we say, okay, what can we do to make it so that we can afford to get to this marathon, both fitness wise and financially, because it's not cheap to travel to a marathon, and it's not cheap to actually run in a marathon because they actually kind of expect you to pay for that.
Yeah, they like money.
Yeah. So that in that way, that's what we're saying. Dream anything that you want, just throw it out there. Just say it. Yep. I want to do this. And then say, what can I do to make it happen? All right. And then the next one is like in the earlier segment, you look at your budget to see if there's anything you can delete. Because the truth is that things start sneaking back in once you get a little further along in your journey. You start doing things and adding things in that you had taken out earlier. Or you just look at it and you go, after this amount of time, there's been new advances in technology or things like that actually will make it so that I don't need that anymore. I can delete that because I've got this. One would be, and we haven't had this in a long time, is landline phones. We have not had that in years. So maybe if you have a landline phone, maybe some people feel like it's still necessary, but we have our cell phones and they're with us anywhere. Mm-hmm. We don't have a landline phone. Haven't had one in probably 12 or 13 years.
Yep.
So think about that.
Create sinking funds. Sinking funds are budget accounts that you set where you set aside money for things that you want to do. So when you're dreaming about things that you want to do, create sinking funds to help you save up your money to get to do those things. So we have a fund money account. We have where we put in money for our trips over to Disney and our things like that. Races I want to do. We have a travel sinking fund where we do put most of our money that we do for our traveling expenses. Like we're taking a trip here in December to go see our kids coming up at the end of the week, and we already got money in there for that, so that's already taken care of. So create those sinking funds to help you offset, so that you already have the money saved up when you go to do the things that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Look at retirement and investments. See if you're making wise choices to prepare for your future.
Yeah, it just needs to be reevaluated. Probably every year at least. You need to see if you're making the best decisions.
Yep.
You might look at it and go, you know what? Maybe I could throw a little bit more into this.
That's right.
Or maybe I don't want to do this. I want to do this. I don't want to completely leave that, but maybe I want to add some more over here into this other way of adding to my future retirement. Like you might have been doing, a retirement plan through your work, but now you want to add on an IRA or something like that. I don't know. We're not experts. Just saying, look at it, talk to a professional if you have any questions, and see if there's anything that you need to change about the way you've been doing it.
That's right.
Okay.
Look at your grocery shopping habits. Again. Make a plan to start working on anything that needs improvement. We already talked about that a lot. So reevaluate those monthly.
Mm-hmm.
See if there's anything you need to cut out.
That's right. Or change or add to. Or
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Reevaluate your progress. Is your current budgeting method and plan serving you in this season? You can do that monthly. You can do it every 6 months. You can do it yearly.
Mm-hmm.
But reevaluate on a consistent basis so that you know that you're working towards the goals that you want to meet in the current year.
Yeah, if your budgeting method is kind of leaving you a little bit like, I'm bored with this, it might be, and because of it, you keep going off of your budget or your plan or your budget goals or something like that, then it does well to reevaluate and see if you need to make changes.
That's right. If there's nothing that you can cut from your grocery shopping, or your grocery shopping is minimal, consider looking at side hustles to help you get caught up or get ahead. We've mentioned some of those. Sam mentioned a couple too: snow removal and grass cutting. I did grass cutting when I was a kid, and I earned a little extra money for myself. And that's a good thing. People always. I hate cutting the grass, so if I don't have kids to do it, then I may hire somebody out to do it. So we don't have to worry about snow down here. But the grass cutting thing is, if we ever own the house of our own again, that might be something we would look into.
And when we used to live in Tennessee, we had to worry about snow, and I would get out there and shovel the driveway. So I can understand why people would want to pay for that service.
Yeah. And then again, reach out for assistance if you need it, because it's always there for you. But our point with this second stage is to say that if you need to reevaluate every year or reevaluate consistently, whether it's monthly or every 6 months or every year, or however, just reevaluate. Make sure that you're working your goals. Your goals aren't working you. Think about what's working, what isn't working, and remember that's where an accountability partner becomes so important. And always remember that your budget and your goals are subject to change. They are fluid. They're not written in stone, and you can change them anytime you want to.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind as you make your goals, as you make your budget, as you make plans for the next year. That everything is fluid.
Yeah.
And you can make those changes on the fly if you need to. And finally.
Are you trying to preach?
Yeah. You know what you know what it means when a preacher says finally? Nothing at all.
Nothing.
Okay. If you aren't in a serious situation and are just wanting to make better financial decisions, then we recommend making small, gradual changes. If you can make small changes, always make a big impact in your life, and you'll find those out. Maybe not soon, but you'll find those out later on down the road as well. You'll see, the small changes I made back a couple years ago, they're really paying off now. So make those small changes. Start with the small changes if you have to, and then you'll notice they'll make a big impact later on down the road.
Yeah.
And then be careful about making too many goals. Too many goals, make too many goals, and then you may be likely to give up on them. So make some goals that are attainable, but challenging, and then make goals that you can actually, that you actually want to stay with over the long haul.
Let me give them an example of that. Okay, this is something that I see prevalently. I'm sorry. The light was shining on my watch face. Okay. Is that people will say, I'm going to pay off my debt and I've got this big plan and I'm going to pay $2,000 every month for it. And I'm going to reduce my groceries down to $200 per month for my whole family. And also I'm going to lose 50 pounds in a year and stuff like that. And I'm going to exercise an hour every morning and I'm going to side hustle at night. And they don't make it 2 months because it's too much at once. So basically what we're saying is refine those, be realistic about your abilities to finish, make it slightly challenging, not ridiculously challenging. And don't do so many that there is no way you can accomplish all the things that you plan for yourself.
No.
And I think that's kind of that way. Like if you do all of those, try to do all of those things in 1 year, you're going to burn out really quick.
That's right.
So
here's a quote for you. Set yourself up for success and success will find you. So make those goals and set yourself up for success, and then run after them and watch how you're successful in the new year.
Yep.
All right. So we want to thank everybody for their time.
Yeah.
This is a little bit longer live stream than we normally do,
Yeah.
but I think it's been good.
I had a big long script for y'all.
That's right. So anyway, thank you for your time today. We appreciate it. We appreciate everybody's been in the chat today. If you're watching on the delayed broadcast, thank you for joining us. Drop us some comments below and let us know what your favorite side hustles or your favorite ways to get out of debt. Things we want to know what you're doing. Any tips that you have for everybody, we appreciate that. Drop those in the comments below. We'd love to hear that. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. Subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Share it out. If you feel like the content is helping you, then share it out to other people. And we'd love to be able to get the word out. So thank you all for joining us today.
Don't forget to come back at 1 o'clock to learn how to make Southern fried corn.
That's right. All right. Well, that's going to do it today. For the long run with Joel and Christy, I'm Joel.
And I'm Christine.
Don't forget the long run. Give yourself a little grace.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Merry Christmas.